Hello, everybody in the Facebook world. We are live on our podcast today. I have Dr. Teresa Irwin with me. And Tara, would you tell me how to say your last name just so I don't screw that up?
Tylicki.
Tylicki. Tara Tylicki with us today. Awesome. All right, ladies, we are going to go ahead and everyone watching and jumping on right now, we're going to go ahead and go live on our podcast. So hang out with us because today we're talking about empowering women to take control of their mind, body, and spirit. It's going to be amazing. Here we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Lead Up for Women, Speak Up to Lead Up. I am your host, Colleen Biggs, and I am so excited, just like I was last week. Why, you ask? Because it's my favorite month. I know everyone has taken down their fall decorations and skipped over Thanksgiving right after Halloween to put up their trees and their lights, and I almost felt bad because in my neighborhood, everyone has their lights up and I still haven't done that. But I am resisting it hard because November is one of my favorite months because of gratitude. I have always in my family, raising my kids, use November as the month of gratitude where we express gratitude to others, express gratitude to each other, and generally use that practice of that month. And I refuse to give it up. I love the fall and I love November. And so I have pumpkins and hay bales and all the decorations and all the fun fall cinnamon smelling stuff in my house. So after Thanksgiving, when we have our guests over, I will then pull my tree out and celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ until we move into January. So that's where I am. And as always, please send me your gratitudes at info@leadupforwomen.com. I would love to be able to read those live during any of our podcasts or when I go live in our Facebook group. So for those of you joining us for the first time, welcome. This is where we are always empowering women to use their voices, share their opinions, and speak up so they can be leaders in their lives. And we know the power of story and how important they are. So let's jump into 2 reminders. We always have Teaching Tuesday webinars that you can sign up for free and learn a lot from our members. And this coming December 8th on the second Tuesday, we have Jessica Bargain class, and she's going to be teaching on how to be seen as an introvert. This might apply to some of you out there. If you're an introvert, how do you get out in the public and how are you getting out there networking on Zoom if you don't want to because you're an introvert? So something important to think about. The next one that we're having is on December 22nd, and Heather Kreider is going to be teaching us. She is certified in so many areas. She's going to be teaching us about how to search inside yourself for more wealth, success, freedom, and joy. Those are my favorite words. I'm just going to put them all over my wall for 2021. Let me repeat those: success, wealth, freedom, and joy. Isn't that really all we want? I mean, even family in there is included in the joy that we receive from our families. And I know that we're all very close to our families. So I'm very excited about those upcoming events, and I hope you all join us. We also have a lunch and learn coming up next Thursday on December 3rd, which is my anniversary with my husband. But I am going to be there for you so that you can network with all the other ladies that we have signed up. Because ladies, if you're not stepping in the spotlight and being seen, you cannot grow your businesses. Someone is not going to come knocking on your door in the shadows and say they want to work with you. So you've got to get out there. You've got to be seen everywhere all the time. And we're giving you the tools, resources, motivation, and inspiration for you to do that. So let's jump in right away to our guest that we have today on our podcast. And I want to welcome Dr. Teresa Irwin, who is known as the Vaginacologist. Hello, Teresa, and welcome to the podcast today. All right, Teresa, take yourself off mute. And while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and introduce you. So I have to introduce you. Hi. Hey, hello. Let me introduce you from the first time we had a conversation. I loved Teresa. She's like my jam. She's my kind of lady. I love the way she shows up in the world. I love that she is just bold to say, hey, I'm a vaginacologist. That's what I do. Let's just be real. And I believe it was your son that called you that and labeled it for you to use that moving forward. Wasn't it, Teresa?
Yes. It's kind of
awesome that your kids know what you do. I mean, really, it is so awesome that you have that relationship with especially with your son. that he calls you the vaginecologist. I love it. So let me just tell you a little bit about Teresa before I ask her a few questions. And, you know, her professional world vision is to drastically reduce the amount of vaginal and bladder dysfunctions through early education to empower women. Again, it's all about us understanding this to take control of their reproductive health. This education will increase the quality of life for women all around the world. She is board certified in female pelvic medicine and reconstructive surgery. She has won numerous awards. In 2005, she was voted as one of the top doctors. 2006, best doctor in Texas. And listen to this, ladies, 2007, 2011, and 2020, a super doctor. Teresa, where is your cape? You should be wearing one today, or tiara. I'm just saying. Welcome to the show, Teresa. I'm so glad you're here. So
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm just going to start with this, Teresa. You did not fly out of the womb exactly like this person today. I mean, you didn't come out and say, this is how I'm going to conquer the world. I mean, we all know we come out perfectly perfect, you know, untouched with, you know, a mind that can just grow and learn everything. But there's been a journey behind you becoming a super doctor, you becoming a top doctor, you wanting to empower women in their reproductive health. So if you could indulge us for a moment in that journey with you, tell us, where has your journey led you and how did it lead you here?
Sure. And thank you, Colleen. I'm really thrilled to be here today. So yes, I didn't pop out of my mom's vagina and know that I wanted to become a vaginecologist, but it really, I think, goes back to when I was about 5 years old, because at that age, my mom was terribly fearful of any kind of bodily fluid. So I had two younger brothers, and she thought it'd be great for me to change their poopy diapers. So at that age, I was already doing that. And how in the world I didn't stab them with safety pins, because that's what we were using at that time, cloth diapers and safety pins, even though I probably wanted to stab them, I didn't. And not only that, though, I was also caring for their wounds. Again, remember, she's fearful of bodily fluids. So whenever any injury happened, I was the one that was taking care of it. And my little brother, Keith, thank you for all of the experience that you gave me, because he was in a lot of fights. And part of it was because he was taking care of protecting our middle brother, who's autistic. So anyway, so I always knew that I wanted to be a doctor, but I really didn't know what it meant at all, because I didn't have anybody that I knew that was a doctor. And so my knowledge of it was very limited. Therefore, when I got to the point where I needed to make that decision, I went on and took a different route, a little bit longer route. And I went on to the nursing direction. But I started out as a nursing assistant. And guess what I was doing with that? I was cleaning poopy diapers and every other bodily fluid you can imagine all day long. And it really, interestingly, didn't bother me. And I think part of it is because I felt, I felt fortunate that I wasn't the one in their positions, and they were always so thankful. I mean, those jobs, and unfortunately, we do not appreciate what those providers do. They do the hardest job and get the least amount of recognition. So I'm here to recognize them, because I completely understand what it's like. But they make such a difference, because they're in those very private moments with patients when they're very vulnerable. And it is the time that's spent, like, for example, giving them a bath or something, that they find out more about them, and the patient can, be more authentic and talk to them. And just listening, that time that they spend listening, makes a world of difference. So thank you to all the nursing assistants. Then I went on to become a nurse technician. So that's, it's like the next step before becoming a nurse. And that I got to do IVs, and I thought that was the greatest thing. And then I became a registered nurse. I was the charge nurse at night in a coronary care unit that was basically an ICU for heart patients. And in those days, it was, the doctor was really the king, so to speak. You did not follow them or call them, and I worked night shift, unless it was, a complete disaster almost. And I remember I had a crush on this cardiologist. And one day he threw his shoe at me.
What?
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, it was crazy. But basically, I was handling a lot of the emergencies, like running codes and all sorts of things.
Wait. We got to back up. Why did he throw a shoe at you? Everyone wants to know right now.
Honestly, I don't even remember why. I just remember him throwing his shoe at me, and it hit me, in a minor fashion. But the point, just
Oh, dude.
doing it right,
Oh,
and that's what is that? I was 22, so 30 years ago. Yeah, the mentality was very different than it is now. But anyway, so I was doing a lot of leadership type of roles there in the coronary care unit. And then I went on to medical school. And the reason I took the nursing route was because I mentioned earlier that I didn't know what medicine was about. And I thought, well, what a better way to find out and actually work side by side with doctors. And then if it was something I didn't want to go into, I had a great career to fall back on. So I think that it's only strengthened, really nursing only strengthened my desire to become a physician. It solidified it more and more all the time. And I, I initially started as an obstetrician gynecologist, so general OB-GYN, doing pap smears and checking for STDs and that sort of thing, birth control pills. And then I ended up treating a lot of the problems that happen as a result of having children. I sort of just gravitated more and more all the time. And I saw how women were having poor quality of lives and had all these things that were happening, leaking urine or constipation or problems with leaking stool even, or prolapse. In other words, a sagging vagina, things that are starting to drop in the vagina and sometimes can even come peer out of the vagina. But anyway, I was seeing all of those things and it just really pushed me, that inner voice just pushed me into gravitating that way more and more and more. And I ended up subspecializing in urogynecology. And it's interesting because it's like I've come full circle because I started out with doing the things that cause the destruction of the pelvis,
yeah.
the floor, to now fixing it. And I love it. It's not a job for me. It's something I really really truly enjoy. So my official title is actually, like you mentioned, female pelvic medicine and reconstructive surgeon. Now most people have no idea what that means. So that's when I decided to shorten my title, and I took the idea from our son. We have 3 boys. And one day when he was in high school at the time, about 15, 16 years old, they were talking with their friends and they were talking about their families. And one of his buddies said, "Hey, dude, what is it that your mom does for a living?" And, again, he's a teenager. He hears me talking about vaginas all day long. So he's like, vaginecology? And when he told me that story, I said, "Mijo, that's perfect. That's exactly what I do. I treat problems of the vagina, things such as loss of bladder control, loss of bowel control, loss of sexual function, and sagging vaginas." Yes, all the good stuff. So I
Teresa,
know that was a long explanation, but there you go.
no, it was not. No, it was not. It was like, I feel like that was a shortened part of your journey. So thank you for sharing all of that, because it's important that we know, what you've been through, and that you had a shoe thrown at you. That it's just that you still remember, and you don't even remember why. But it just goes to show the trauma that sticks with us when something happens, even though we forget the reason behind it, you still remember the shoe flying at you.
Yep.
I want to go back and and ask you a question that I'm sure is burning on a lot of women's minds right now. Why does it seem that there does, I'm gonna be honest, there doesn't seem to be a lot of education for women, right? So it's almost like, if when you have a baby, because your body naturally knows how to do it, that you just naturally know how to raise a baby, right? But you've
Mhm.
got to educate yourself because you know nothing. I mean, we have some innate abilities based on our nurturing
Mhm.
concepts of who we are as women, and those are natural and they're really embedded in who we are. But when it comes to taking care of your body as a female and understanding the function of it, I feel like there's not a lot of education. Is there a reason behind why you feel like women have these issues but don't know what's going on with their bodies because they've not been educated to understand. And certainly in my era of growing up, my mother wasn't about to start educating me on anything that had to do with the female reproductive system.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So that's at this point is my biggest mission and passion that I'm working on to bring that education to women because so much of this can be prevented. So to answer your question in terms of why, well, I can't really say that there's a particular reason isolated, probably several. One of them being is that these things are taboo. Uh, Really, it's only become more common now, as you know, Colleen, with all the stuff that you do, which thank you for all that you're doing and trying to inspire women, not trying to, but inspiring women to bring their value to the world. But because there is definitely a lot more ability to have the information there, it's not as taboo, but it still is. It still is. And it's unfortunately it's not taught. First of all, our moms didn't even know what they're supposed to do to try to prevent these problems, and so they can't talk to us about it. So they don't know it, they can't tell us, or they might be too embarrassed or too taboo. Again, talking about your vagina just seems like a terrible word to say. That's
Mm-hmm.
ridiculous, right? And so what's really led me to this, because as a surgeon, we look at most problems, we see a problem, we're like, oh, that's a nail and I'm the hammer. So you want to do surgery all the time. And so maybe a lot of doctors may not like a lot of the things I might say in terms of not wanting to proceed with surgical treatment. And it's not to say that I don't, because I operate 2 days, 2 full days a week. So unfortunately, it's very common. But my goal is to get the education out so that there does not have to be as much surgery or medications or anything like that. And ultimately, quality of life, So the surgeries that we have are great. We have a lot of state of the art technology and things of that nature. So we do have great outcomes, but it'd be ideal not to have to go down that route, to go on medicines that have a bunch of adverse effects. But I will tell you, so I did definitely gravitate more towards medication and surgery in the beginning of my career. But as I reflected upon outcomes on patients, the ones that did the best were the ones that followed what they were taught by the pelvic floor therapist. And in the beginning, I always sent patients to a therapist, but I didn't make it a requirement. And now I do. I will not operate on them. Sometimes some of them get through uh, the cracks, but that's rare. But I will not operate on them unless they've gone to the pelvic floor therapist. And it's interesting because they will balk at going. Many of them do. It's getting better. And I try to figure out a way to explain why it's so important for them to go and see the therapist, even if they're going to have surgery. So if they're going to do nothing, if they're going to do something in between or surgery, they really, really need to see the therapist. And the reason being is because she teaches all those a lot of behavioral changes that will really make such a huge difference in terms of um, what your outcome will be, whether it's post surgery or as a preventative to not undergo something like that. And so as I reflected at my surgical outcomes, the ones that did the best are the ones that not only went to the therapist, but actually implemented what she had taught them. Because it's amazing what those little things, which are many actually, but what those little things can do in terms of your overall outcome and health and quality of life. So now the way that I get patients to understand why it's so important is by giving a comparison. So let's say someone comes in to have bariatric surgery and they undergo the surgery, they lose 100 pounds, but then they go back to their old behaviors. They stop exercising or limited, and they go back to the foods that they were eating before. What's going to happen? Right?
They're going to gain weight again.
Exactly. And that is how I am now able to, most of the time, almost 99% of the time, get patients to see the therapist and understand why it's so valuable. Because it doesn't end at surgery. It doesn't end. That's not the
The
end all.
beginning.
you have to continue the maintenance.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah, and our bodies are created to naturally heal themselves if we really hone in on what's going on. And I know Tara will probably talk a lot about that. But, in society and culture today, Teresa, wouldn't you say that people are always looking for the quick fix, right? They just want the results now. There's no patience with, working on something. And I know when I tore my rotator cuff, immediately they were like, we need to do surgery. And I was like, no, let's all just stand back and wait. And I wound up going to a physical therapist that did dry needling with me, scraping with me, working on muscle control with me and exercises. And my shoulder is completely normal compared to where I was before. And I just didn't want to invade my body and do a surgery if there was an alternative way around that. So I love that you're teaching the education piece the most, Teresa, because I feel it's the education and requiring them to get the therapy to understand their bodies better and things they can do to not only help them now, but prevent things in the future.
exactly.
Well. So
Exactly.
crucial. Yeah.
And that is a probably one of the biggest obstacles I have to confront and figure out a way. And thankfully, you're part of the answer, because just getting the information out and the understanding as to why these things are important is super helpful. So again, thank you so much, Colleen. So the biggest obstacle is going to be more so with younger women who they're like, well, I don't have any problems. Why do I need to do all this stuff that you're saying that I need to do? And understanding that it's a preventative, just like diet and exercise, so that you don't develop diseases further on is so critical to get women to understand, even as teenagers, as early as teenagers, because one of the sports that has the greatest risk of developing stress incontinence later in life is volleyball. And they're at 116% greater risk. So it's really critical that they learn that now. The other thing is also on the other end with my older ladies who I tell that they need to see the therapist and blah, blah, blah. They're like, oh, I know those Kegels. I've been doing them all my life and they don't work, and most of them don't do them correctly. And again, that's another piece that women don't necessarily understand, is that the therapist spends an hour, hour and a half with you, and she's not just going to talk about Kegels, but even so, she is going to talk about them and make sure that you know how to do them correctly. Because I'll be the first to admit that I didn't do them correctly until really I delved into my subspecialty, and I was already a gynecologist. So
Yeah. My chiropractor has an alternative way of doing chiropractic work, where he doesn't crack and crunch you. He does a lot of the muscle control to move the bones around. And he even has me doing them, and is because my pelvic floor will drop, or it'll have something to do with my hip or my back, or it throws everything else off. And I think that's what we're not realizing is the small education that we're receiving is not sharing the breadth of what can happen from doing certain exercises or not doing certain exercises, taking care of your body, not taking care of your body, the long-term effects and what's going to happen 20 years down the road or 10 years down the road. I don't want to be aging and feeling pain and my body falling apart. People accept that as that's just normal aging. And everyone's telling me, no, it's not. It's not if you take care of yourself. So it's like, oh, well, let's do this, right?
And we're living longer.
Yeah.
The fastest age group in growth is 85 and above.
Yeah.
So we're living a lot longer and don't want to live, in diapers or our kids changing our diapers, and all the other things that can potentially happen.
Well, my mother-in-law is 88 and she's still living on her own and ticking strong. And I go see her every Saturday and take her grocery shopping. And she doesn't always remember that I take her grocery shopping, but I remind her every week while we're shopping, and she's going strong. So I know that we're all going to be living much longer and we need to take care of our bodies. So Teresa, where can women find more education? So where do you have more education for us? How can we reach out to you? I love it that you're everywhere. People say that to me. You're everywhere. And I'm like, you need to be everywhere. And you are everywhere, Teresa. So talk to us about where women can find you that are listening and how can they get more education from you?
Sure. Well, I have a website and it's theVaginacologist.com. And I do have some free downloads there in terms of educational brochures on various things of the pelvic floor, how to prevent problems. And I also am on TikTok, on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. So, and YouTube, actually, we just started that not too long ago.
Yes,
So yes, we're trying to cover all the spots. It's hard to manage all of it.
it is.
So if y'all can please spread the word and let's take care of each other,
Yeah.
right? So we can live long, qualitative, not
Yeah.
just quantitative lives. Now, I also am my loving family and wonderful friend who's here with me right now, Myra, have helped me create a master course. And we're in the final stages of the editing. So it should be out in December. And in there, there's going to be 15 lessons. It's over the course of 5 weeks. And it's really a place where all this information is in one spot only, not
Brilliant.
scattered here and there like it is now. And I provide a lot of information and fun activities to do to help prevent these issues later on in life. I mean, including things like belly dancing. I teach you how to do belly dancing moves that help your pelvic floor. It's
I
been
love it.
shown, scientifically, it has been shown to help with incontinence and pelvic floor
Right.
dysfunction. So it's, and you get to, have fun body and fun at home with your partner. Anyway,
Brilliant. So,
also there's other things like hypopressives that most people have never heard of, and there are
mhm.
certain exercises that are more effective than Kegels. So anyway, that is coming up, and if anybody is interested, when you sign up onto the website and leave your email, then when it comes out, I'll send that invite out. So.
Perfect. Thank you. And ladies, I'm just going to put it like this. We all have a vagina. So you might want to get some education on it. That's what I'm talking about, right? Because I don't want to wear a diaper. I don't want to pee my pants. And as you get older, if you're not doing something about it, it's exactly what happens. So
Mm-hmm.
I love, Teresa, that you've put it all in a masterclass. I'm going to invite you, Teresa, to make sure when it comes out that you load all of your masterclass information of how they can sign up in our Facebook group. The Lead Up for Women community Facebook group is our private group in there. And I invite you to definitely market the heck out of it in there and give all the information to the women so they can get it. And again, if you're listening on the podcast or watching on the Facebook Live right now, you'll be able to have all these links at your fingertips today. And if you're listening, just go ahead and click and get to Teresa's website and go sign up for that information so you can get informed when it comes out. So thank you, Teresa, the vaginacologist, for being with us today. It's all about getting the information out, and I'm super excited you're here. So thank you so much for all the information you provided.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Colleen.
All right, Tara, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Oh,
Bring your mic up a little bit
that's
so we
great.
can hear you. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's way better. All right. So I love our title today about healing our mind, body, and spirit, because Tara is a world-class transformational expert, and she's traveled the world, 6 or 7 continents, training and helping women, people. So not just women, but men as well, heal for over 22 years. So she's going to transform your pain into peace with natural healing techniques, which is exactly what we've been talking about with Dr. Teresa Irwin today. So, Tara, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Colleen. You're such a delightful presence. I've been so grateful meeting you at Top Talent, and I'm so happy to be here. And it's wonderful, all the educational opportunities you have for everybody. I was looking around, and I think it's really fantastic. And also, thank you, Dr. Teresa, as well. I took a look at you, found the belly dancing too on your page, and I actually used to belly dance for 5 years, every week to every other week, off and on. My teacher actually her sister was trying to come see me and ended up in the hospital. So I actually went into the hospital to see her. Unfortunately, she passed away. There's a whole story there. And a year later, the belly dancing teacher actually reached out to me on the phone and she goes, "Are you that girl that helped my sister? Like, I've been hearing about you." And then that's how I connected in. And it is wonderful for doing work on self love.
Mm.
And I just also want to thank you for all the wonderful work that you do as well, and all the nurses and the doctors. My journey has involved allopathic and natural, and I am so beyond grateful to all of them. I really needed that at times, and my mom was a nurse. And the natural things, though, are what I really resonate with. And if we can do anything to help prevent, just like you were saying, Colleen, like anything to prevent the surgery, that would be fantastic. And setting yourself up for success. Because even if you have to, you're doing all that underlying work there too.
Yeah. So Tara, again, your journey, something happened. I know something happened in your world. There was a pivotal moment. I'm just going to go right to it. What was a pivotal moment in your world where you really, especially if you have nurses that have surrounded you in your world with, surgeries and medications? What was it that got you to the point 22 years ago that you chose to go this route to help other people heal their mind, body, and spirit? Something happened.
Yep, there was a surgery. I was 15, and actually, 3 months in a row, I had a car accident that we got hit. My horse landed on top of me, riding, like sliding in the rain, in the mud. And then he actually like stayed with me. The minute he got up, he put his head with me and all that. And then I had to have, ended up having to have surgery. And so when you have surgery, and I like to get off of any kind of medication like as fast as possible. That's not what that's about. So even though they sew you up, um, then all of a sudden there's this something else that you have to heal or work with. And when I realized at 15 what real pain was, I really wanted to help everybody. I didn't want anybody to have to feel that way. And the things that helped me naturally to heal, my mom didn't know what to do. I was raised Catholic, and she's like, "Something's wrong with you. I don't know what to do." So she started exploring. Her friend was going to an energy healing class. And
Mm.
so my mom went in, she comes back, she's like, "I'm going to do this thing on you." And I'm like, "Okay." And as she started to do the energy work, I actually felt better, which surprised me. And I said, "Mom, can I go train in that?" And she said, "Sure." So I went to the class. And during the class, we were doing distance healing. So there was nobody there. We're all sending energy to this person. And I went to the teacher and I said, "Did he have a shoulder issue and like had like surgery here?" And she goes, "Oh my gosh, he did." And she said, "You have a gift and you need to be trained." And I took it seriously at 15. I was like, anything I could do, to help people. So,
That's wonderful. So now you've taken that journey from 15 years old. That is just crazy. And I do believe that there are so many people on this earth that have specific gifts. I really see it as their veil is just a little thinner than the rest of ours, and have the gifts to be able to teach us how to be able to heal our bodies at the right time and when we need it. And I'm sure you attract people at the right time when they need to be in your path, right? Because when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And I know that's happened to you. So tell us about your journey of how you've been able to now utilize what you've learned throughout the world.
absolutely. Thank you. So, yes, they come in the right time. And even when people contact me, if they don't feel ready now, I'm like, I'm here. I've been around all these years, and whenever they're ready, they'll come back. And then I have some of my favorite people that I work with whenever they need it, that went on that journey. Like they went around and then they found what works for them. So I've actually lost about 140 pounds naturally. And I say that because I go up a little bit and down like around the holidays. And I did a lot of that inner work. So it started to happen when I went to Tibet. I turned 21 there, and I was learning about Bon Buddhism, which is the original form. And I really focused on that self-love piece. I was like, you know what? I can't seem to make this change of trying these diets. I'm just going to love myself anyway. Which was a big wound from that surgery. Is like when I got cut open, I'm like, nobody's going to love me, which apparently maybe I thought I wouldn't love myself too. And as I loved that aspect of me, and I started doing all the inner work and clearing the stuff that was in there, then I the weight just started coming off. So I went around the world during this time, kept following. I really believe in the energy and messages and magic in the universe. And so something would come into my journey and I would follow it. and I would follow it. And so it led me all around the world on 6 continents, training with amazing healers, teachers, also physical therapists, chiropractors. I studied with a psychologist, a medical anthropologist too, off and on about 8 years. So it's helping people to figure out what they need, because there are so many things you can do for yourself, and sometimes you need that extra support. And we get creative, and that's what I wanted to mention today, is how much that creativity with everything that we're going through can really help you.
Yeah. Ladies, I don't know if they just heard what you said, but we don't spend enough time taking care of ourselves. We already know that. We spend way too much time taking care of everyone else. And then I just remember back in the day, my mom didn't eat. She'd make sure we were all fed first. And I kind of did the same thing. And then we were supposed to get married and have kids. And, that all went to hell in a handbasket in my world. But, I just look at your taking the journey and self-love and how important that is. We literally can heal our bodies through the work that you're talking about, through the work that Teresa is talking about. We can heal our own bodies if we take the patience and the time to want to take care of ourselves in any way that is, and then prevent the future of what could happen to break down our bodies. And if we really want to leave a legacy, the the best legacy you can leave for your family is teaching them to love themselves, because without loving themselves, they fully cannot love another human being.
Yeah, and being able to get creative and finding the ways to love yourself even more and letting that kind of unfold. It's not that you have to rush, just kind of letting that shift over time. Just like we have the leaves falling and it's turning into winter, like letting go of all those things and then going to that space of the deeper work, and then you come back out in spring and be able to really enjoy that self-love inside of you, even more. So starting with just telling yourself when you look in the mirror, I love you, or find something, even something small that you enjoy and that you can put energy around, and then letting it grow.
I love that. Now, Tara, where do you practice? Do you practice in person? Are you practicing online? Are you in a specific state that you practice? Help us understand how we can utilize your skills.
Thank you. I'm not as skilled as both of you on the online. So when COVID happened, I went on for the first time with the YouTube videos. I've tried to stay hidden, actually. I'm really grateful that everybody's kind of shown up over time.
Mm,
And so I do phone sessions. I've been doing them a long time, though. It's not new to me. And also in Del Mar. So I just let go of my office of 7 years in Del Mar. And on the same block, 7 years ago, I almost took this ocean view, like shared it. And this is like taking the road not traveled. So my gut told me when we were closed down, and then we opened up and everything was going great. And my gut goes, let go of your office. And I'm like, okay. 3 days later, I think it was, we got closed down again. And then now I'm sharing the one that I had seen like right next door, with the ocean view, like 7 years ago in Del Mar. So it's really magical. It's with the phone sessions, I think it's just as powerful too. So it's whatever resonates with you.
yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. Tara, how can we reach out to you? If we want to, I know that many ladies today are really interested in what you have to offer and how you can naturally help them heal some wounds and some pains, because whether you know it, ladies, your soul goes on a journey just like your body does. And we can't get to the good stuff. We can't get to the joy. We can't get to all the pieces that we have been talking about of wealth and freedom and love unless you can get rid of the crap. So we got to right? We got to heal the wounds to get to the good stuff. It's like trying to plant new seeds in an old garden that's full of dead weeds, right? And dirt that's not taken care of is how I picture it. So we got to take care of our bodies, and you can't plant new seeds unless you get rid of the old stuff. And that baggage gets heavy. Right, Tara?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So how can you help us unpack that baggage?
Absolutely. And everything you referred to earlier, I've helped to raise over 100 baby animals. So I may not have changed diapers, but I have cleaned up a lot of stuff.
Yes.
So it's really good to clear the way and to be able to, like you said,
Yeah.
prepare and to grow all those beautiful things. So my website is from theheartoftara.com. And I have different platforms that Instagram I've been doing now. Like these are still new things to me, and over time I'd like to develop courses as well too. I think it's fantastic, Dr. Teresa, what you're doing. That's phenomenal too. And also, I wanted to offer, I know you might go into that, but I had an amazing trip. So I actually had paid for a training with the physical therapist that I've helped to assist with them. They're world renowned, off and on over like 8 or 10 years occasionally. But I went for training to Sedona recently. I had a magical journey. I've been posting it on Instagram right now, like different pieces of it. And 22 kept coming up over and over again. And the rooms I was staying in, like in Sedona, was 422. And so I wanted to offer $22 off a session, an hour session, or whatever you would like for the next like 4 months. So I wanted to share that with everybody too, if they're curious. So,
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to encourage everyone to take you up on that offer for sure. I am amazed at, and I'm going to encourage both of you, by the way. Go do YouTube videos, both of you. Why? Because when you go onto Google and you research how to blah, 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 YouTube videos come up. And that's what everyone clicks on to go to find out how to do something. So I'm going to encourage both of you to get your information out there on YouTube, because it's going to give you so much more exposure, and people need to be able to get to this information. So it's just a great way for you to continue sharing your gifts that you've been given, and for you that you've worked so hard for, and the education piece of it. It is massive. So thank you so much for all that you do and continue to do. And you can use any of my platforms to promote yourself on consistently. So let me know how else I can help you promote yourself on our platforms so women can find you, because this is about our health. This is about our well-being. This is about how well we can take care. We're the role models for our children. And now I'm the role model for my grandchildren. And we need to, we may not be directly raising them, but they're watching you. People are watching you, and we're the role models. And if we're not loving ourselves and empowering other people, and we're competing and judging and doing all the crap that's out there, people are watching you. It's not going to make the world go round, and the love is going to fizzle out to evil and hate very quickly. So we need to take care of ourselves and love and support others as much as we can. So Tara, thank you so much for that. Was there any other contact information I missed? Because I'll have it all loaded for everyone to see.
Oh, thank you. So the website probably would be great, the FromTheHeartofTara.com, and the Instagram is like that too. Though I want to thank you so much again. I love the space that you're holding. It's fantastic. So I really appreciate it. And it's a great reminder. I really do need to get back to doing the YouTube too.
Yes, you got to be seen. And I'm honored to have both of you here today. Beyond honored, more than you're tickled pink to be here. I'm beyond honored to have you both on my podcast show today. So thank you. I know it was very beneficial for all the ladies. All right, ladies, next week on Wednesday, December 2nd, I've got Kimberly Mitchell. She's the owner of Home with Help. Let me tell you, you're never prepared when your parents get older. I'm just going to throw that out there now, because I'm struggling with my mother-in-law losing her memory and the things that we're going through with that. And this is the beautiful space for her to be in. So she's going to talk a lot about how we prep for that for our parents when they get older. And then we have Karen Copperwaite with us, and she's known as a Soul Sister. She's an intuitive transformational coach. There are so many angel messengers out there. I just love that I'm attracting all of them, and they're crossing my path, because I feel like I'm religious and spiritual when it comes to God, but there's a whole nother world I'm learning about, how to heal my own self, how to take care of my body. And I love it. And that's probably why I show up like this all the time, because I'm doing the work, ladies. I'm doing the work. We got to do the work on ourselves and put it in. So don't forget to show up next week for that. Again, I'm so happy you guys were here today. I want to just leave one last message before I say happy Thanksgiving to everyone in America. I know we have a lot of people outside of the United States listening, but it's a big month for us here. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody in America. And remember, ladies, you are the only you that will ever be, and you are the only you that has ever been. So how you navigate your future and pioneer your path, it's up to you. No one's coming. You are the one that has to give yourself the permission to live the life you desire. And I will give you that permission today. So happy Thanksgiving to everyone. You guys have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.